In my last video, we took a pair of cylinder heads off of a junkyard LQ9 and did a low buck rebuild on them. Just the basics so we can get everything bolted back up and make a couple baseline runs on a dyno with them. But in the video, I even pointed out the broken exhaust stud, and then I completely forgot to do anything about it. So this is just a quick follow-up video to show you the method that I use to get broken exhaust studs out of cylinder heads. On the LS style motors like this, the stud isn't threaded all the way through, so we can't double up a pair of nuts and try to get it off like that. We could try to grind a couple flats on each side to get better purchase, but then we have less material to work with. So my preferred method is to weld on a nut so we can get a wrench on it and run it right back out. I'm no welding expert, so don't take this as a gospel when it comes to welding. What seems to work best for me is a lower wire speed and about halfway up on the voltage. That way it gets a lot of heat into the nut to make sure I get a good connection between the nut and the broken stud. I take a couple swipes at it with the wire brush just to knock the worst of the rust and corrosion off of it, make it a little bit cleaner. Now I like to use a nut that is bigger than what you'd expect, just so I can get in there real good with my gun and make sure I get good contact with the broken part of the stud. This one is a 7/16, but it really doesn't matter as long as you can get hold of it. And it seems that this always works well, maybe because the heat from welding expands the broken stud and seems to break loose whatever's galling it up in there. Science? I don't know. It just works. Oh, and real quick, another note. As you can see, I've got the ground strap attached to the table and not directly to the head. This does fine for me. I just lay it on the table. That's the steel top right there. And even though the cylinder head is aluminum, I'm still able to get a good enough arc between the nut and the stud. Probably gonna sound muffled because I got my helmet on, but now I just use a pair of pliers to hold the nut in place and plenty of wire sticking out from the gun so I can make sure I can get in there and get good contact to the stud and not just welding a bead around on the nut and missing the stud there. And we'll just get started. So that got nice and red, which is exactly what we want. Now that weld is ugly, but that's okay. All I want to do is get a really good stick between the stud and the nut so it's bonded for good. And we will give it just a few minutes to cool off so that the stud is no longer expanded and really tight in the bore of the aluminum head, and then we'll give it a shot. Okay, let's see if we have any luck. Now one reason I like to use the larger nuts also is that you can get good purchase with a wrench on there. Let's give it a shot. Nice and slow, don't need to rush anything. All right, it's coming. Success. It always feels good when it works, even if it works every time. Just take it nice and slow till it comes on out. And there we go. This ain't pretty, but it's trash anyway. And best of all, the threads on the head aren't damaged. I can clean everything up and keep making progress. Thanks for watching.